So you got the 12th pick in your fantasy football draft. A little bit of a bummer. You're picking last, but we're going to be finishing first. Let's go through everything you need to know to dominate your draft from the 12th spot. What?
Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome.
What's going on, guys? I am Graham Barfield, one of the co-owners here at FantasyPoints.com, and welcome back. If you have made it this far, and if you watched all 11 previous videos, thank you very much. We've been walking through draft strategy, tips, tricks, everything you need to know to kill your draft. And in, roughly 3 hours of time, John Hansen and I have covered every pick. This is the last one, pick 12. Guys, I'm going to be honest. It sucks. Picking last sucks this year. It's brutal. It's not fun. You're going to get boxed out on certain player runs. You're going to get boxed out on quarterbacks. If you get to pick, if you're in one of those leagues where you get to pick your draft spot, or maybe randomize it, or pull it out of a hat, or have a randomizer on your phone. Don't pick 12th and pray that you don't get randomized into 12th. It is the stone worst. However, we are going to dominate here. We are going to force strategy. We're going to take players well ahead of ADP based on, one, where they should be going in the first place, but two, really kind of the optimal build from what I'm seeing going through. Guys, I've done hundreds of drafts this summer. I have spent hundreds of hours writing up content and researching this season. The 12 spot stinks, but I really think we can end up with some good players. Like I said, though, you just have to get aggressive in certain pockets. We're going to do just that. But before we do that, as I always say, know your league settings. This is a PPR league. Again, 12 teams, pretty standard setup. We're going to start 2 running backs, 2 receivers, 2 flex spots, 1 tight end, 1 quarterback, and of course we have to start a kicker and a defense. In most leagues, I would encourage you just to lop off kicker and defense and add a second flex spot. Add a second flex spot. Switch over to super flex. There's just way more appealing ways to play fantasy football than having a kicker and a defense. But I understand most standard formats are like that, and this one is the same. As I always say too, if you have to start more than 2 receivers, you are way more likely to take them earlier in your drafts. The predominant amount of big receiver spiked weeks come from the early rounds. We've gotten really good at predicting volume, which means we've gotten really good at predicting big spiked weeks. And of course, we've got maybe the most talented receiver player pool in fantasy history this season. Guys, going into the 40s at receiver this year is just awesome. Okay, and finally, I'm going to be using my tiers at FantasyPoints.com. It's powered by the projections, and I have the top 150 players sorted into tiers 1 to 150. And again, it's powered by our projections and then kind of aggregated through ADP. I've moved players up and down based on, profile, projection, the like. FantasyPoints.com/plans. Get in there today. Get your cheat sheets. Get your projections. Make sure you're checking out John Hansen's draft plan, Scott Barrett's draft plan, my tiers. All right, let's get started. 12th pick. I'm a little nervous, to be honest with you. I'm nervous for this one because the 12th pick is not fun. Drafting teams from 2, 4, 6, and honestly 8, that's a lot of fun. Drafting from the 12th spot is not, but you know what is fun? You know who is fun? It's Jonathon Taylor, y'all. Jonathon Taylor, I think, is a dark horse for RB1. Let's roll back the clocks a little bit. 2 years ago, what happened? What did Jonathon Taylor do in the NFL? Go back and watch some highlights. When you're done with this video, if you want to feel alive again, go back and watch JT 2021 highlights. He was the best running back in the league. The role should be excellent. The only players behind him that can get touches are Trey Sermon and Evan Hull. Trey Sermon has a pulled hammy right now, guys. Man, oh man, I think JT is an excellent pick at this spot. I was really hoping we could get him. And it's kind of changed my strategy here a little bit. We're taking JT, so I'm just going to keep talking. We're taking JT, and we're going to figure out this second pick here. We got a minute and a half plus to kind of figure out this second pick. I have Jahmyr Gibbs ranked right behind JT. Okay? I think he is a perfectly fine pick here. I think if we wanted to double tap running back, it would either be one of these three. That's how I have it ranked. JT, Gibbs, Kamara. Kyron. I don't know where Kamara came from, but Kyron Williams. That's how I have it ranked here. We're going to take JT. If we're going to take a receiver in this spot, to me, Puka is a cut above Marvin Harrison and Drake London and Chris Olave and Deebo Samuel. This is the problem with this spot, right? After these receivers go, Lamb, Hill, St. Brown, Chase, A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, in some order like that, it just falls off, man. Like this entire third tier of players, this is kind of how I have it tiered. McCaffrey, Lamb, Hill, Bijan, and Brees are tier 1. Then all of these receivers, St. Brown, Chase, Brown, Jefferson, Wilson, plus JT. That's my tier 2. And then tier 3 is Barkley, all of these running backs, and just basically all these receivers. I think Puka is a cut above, though. We're going to come back to Gibbs. One final point on Gibbs. For this team, I know that receiver is just insanely deep in the mid-rounds. Like we were talking about at the top, right? This is the deepest pool of 40 receivers, the most talented pool, and we have some pretty concentrated targets on teams with great quarterbacks. I don't think we should necessarily be shying away from the Texans because they have 3 great receivers. If anything, it should make us want to draft them more because the offense is going to be even better. Yeah, sure, it's going to be tough to predict. Yeah, sure, there's going to be weeks where Nico Collins scores 5 fantasy points. Yeah, sure, there's going to be weeks where Tank Dell, takes a dump and only scores 3 points. I don't really care so much about that. Every receiver to a certain degree is highly volatile, except for like 4. CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, St. Brown. I think you throw St. Brown in that mix now. And Justin Jefferson. We're going to find out how QB-proof Justin Jefferson is this season. Okay, we're back on the clock. A few of the guys we were targeting based off projections, based off tiers, they are gone, but we are still absolutely thrilled with the guys who came back to us here. I have Jaylen Waddle just as like a windmill slam dunk pick here. I would have been very interested in DJ Moore, Kupp, Deebo Samuel had he made it. All of those receivers have ADPs within this pocket. Nico Collins would have been a little bit of a stretch. He's a solid third-round pick right now on Sleeper. Solid third-round pick pretty much everywhere you're going to be doing your drafts. Yahoo, ESPN, etc. Jaylen Waddle, though, has just become way underpriced relative to his floor and ceiling. Awesome pick here. After that, though, the tier really drops off. It really drops off for me. So I'm going to get very aggressive on a player that y'all know I'm drafting everywhere. I'm drafting Rashee Rice wherever I can get my hands on him. I am not allowing the chance that Rashee Rice does not make it back to me based on this board. The other receivers in this range for me would be DK Metcalf, Malik Neighbors, the Texans guys. I think Tank Dell or Stephon Diggs or even T. Higgins in this spot is perfectly fine. I also don't mind Amari Cooper. I don't mind Terry McLaurin in this spot. This is what I'm saying. Like, this is just a loaded range at receiver, and we're ignoring tight end here, right? Like, we have to start 2 receivers. So we're going to take Jaylen Waddle. We're going to take Rashee Rice, and we are going to come back, and we're going to hope that we can get a tight end here. I have to play 2 receivers every week. Waddle and Rice are just like the clear-cut 2 players in that range for me. I've made the case for Rice on every single video. Y'all are tired of hearing me talk about this guy. Jaylen Waddle, we'll speak a little bit about him at the end. But this has played out so well. Oh, my goodness. This has played out perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. We double-tapped running back in the first round. A bunch of receivers just went, by the way. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe a few more should have gone, but I mean, I'm looking at the backs here. Can't really, maybe Aaron Jones is the one that stands out as like kind of a pick. David Montgomery's fine. Alvin Kamara is absolutely fine in the 5th round. in PPR. Richardson, good pick. All these tight ends, good picks. The two tight ends that are in this tier for me are these two. However, we've got to start two flexes, y'all. I mean, the receivers in this pocket are just way more appealing to me, especially the way we started our draft, right? Like JT and Gibbs. We feel awesome about these two running backs. None of these backs are even remotely close in the tiers here. So to me, it's Cooper, McLauriin, and Higgins are the three. We are going to take... we can go with the two vets, I think. I mean, we've got kind of the youth on our side with Waddle and Rice. Rice, a second-year receiver. McLauriin is the one who scares me here. And the only reason he scares me is because he's attached to a rookie quarterback. And you guys know I love Jayden Daniels. We've taken Jayden Daniels in like almost every one of these drafts. But rookie quarterbacks outside of like CJ Stroud typically are not great at supporting top-end fantasy wide receivers. It is very, very close, man. I actually haven't had to make this call yet since Jahan Dotson's been traded between Higgins and McLauriin. It's very, very close. Okay, I'm going to take McLauriin. I think he has the clear wide receiver one potential, obviously, on his team, whereas T. Higgins doesn't. He needs something happening to Ja'Marr Chase. McLauriin basically has been a shoo-in for 130 targets every year. This is his chance for like a huge season. He's, right on the cusp of turning 30. Like I said, been a great target earner relatively over the last couple of years. Never dipped below 30 wide receiver 30 in first read target share. This is his chance, right? This is his chance. Okay, we could take Kyler here. I think Kyler is an unbelievable pick in the 7th. I was thinking because we just took McLauriin, we would just wait a couple rounds and take Jayden Daniels, but Kyler is already Jayden Daniels and on a better offense and with a better offensive line, and he shook himself free of Cliff Kingsbury. The call here to me is one of these onesies. It's Jake Ferguson or Kyler. I think we're going to... we'll wait. We're going to wait. We got plenty. I think we can get Jayden Daniels at 9-12. I think we can get him there. So we're gonna not take Kyler. We'll take Jake Ferguson. And we'll sort through these receivers. Deontay Johnson clearly stands out to me as the best value in this range. I really like Jonathon Brooks this season. But Deontay is slightly ahead in the rankings. Brooks is like the swing for the fences pick here, and we have 4 pretty good receivers. You know what? I like it for this team a lot, actually. I like Jonathon Brooks a lot for this team. So let's do Jake Ferguson here. We'll get our tight end. Throw caution to the wind with Jonathon Brooks. Who cares? 8th round. Get him as your RB3 here on this team. We aren't even going to have to play him anytime soon on this team. We've already got 4 receivers, two receivers, 2 flexes, and we can take another back just to kind of backfill for the first couple of weeks of the season. All right, we're not going to get sniped. It's Jayden Daniels time, baby. One more Jayden Daniels team here. We'll stack them up with Terry McLaurin the way it should be. Jahan Dotson was just traded. I have not been a big McLaurin fan in my last couple of seasons, really. I just think he's been a little overvalued in fantasy. This is like the one year it's kind of boomeranged a little bit, and he's gone from overvalued to pretty undervalued. Like I said, consistent target earner. The big concern for me is obviously a rookie quarterback, but he's our wide receiver 4, guys. I mean, that's at the end of the day, Terry McLaurin is wide receiver 4 when you've got JT and Gibbs as your top 2 running backs. We're thrilled with that. Okay. I think we're going to take one more back. I think it's going to be Chase Brown. We're going to take one more peek here at the tiers. I think that's the clear guy here. Yeah, clear guy. All right, Jayden Daniels, Chase Brown. Y'all have been hearing me making the case for these Bengals running backs till I'm blue in the face. Look, I mean, the Bengals are a top 6 offense by implied points per game. Joe Burrow's back healthy. I think you just don't leave your draft with one of them, honestly. Just take the cheapest one. In this draft in particular, Moss went pretty early. I think Chase Brown will go a little earlier in your draft than round 10. He should be. But if he doesn't, make sure you're the one who takes him at 10-1. we've got a full team, guys. Full team. Jayden Daniels at the quarterback spot. Jake Ferguson, fine tight end, especially in PPR. 2 backup running backs. Obviously can play those guys in the flex as well. I expect Jonathan Brooks will be making the flex pretty much every single week from like week 6 on. I think his PPR floor is highly underrated. The very first thing Dave Canales said about John Brooks when they drafted him was that he's highly versatile. They love him as a pass catcher. They love him as a versatile player that they can, dial up screens and design targets for that they want to get in space. Especially for this team build, we're like, we don't care. We got Jonathan Taylor and Jahmyr Gibbs, man. Like, Jonathan Brooks will be like a happy surprise by week 6. Chase Brown, 50% of the snaps at minimum. We could throw him in the flex week 1 and feel fine about it. Okay, back on the clock. These 2 receivers are the ones that stand out by the tiers. We definitely need one of them. If you were on the clock here, you don't have to take 2. I just think we could maybe take one more swing at running back in the next couple of rounds, and the tier just really dies. Receiver really dies after basically these top 2 guys are gone. We're going to take Josh Palmer here. We'll take Khalil Shakir. I don't think Shakir is going to be the top target earner on this team. I think that'll be Keon Coleman. Coleman will lead the team in routes, and that will probably lead him down the path of leading the team in targets. I just think Khalil Shakir is really good, man. Like, really freaking good. In his dozen or so starts in his career where he's ran a route on more than 60% of the team's dropbacks, he's averaged 2.25 yards per route run. Really, really solid efficiency. Most of that is like low ADOT stuff, low average depth of target. I really like Shakir in PPR. In half, I just don't know how many touchdowns he's going to score. With these kind of like wide receiver 5 guys like Palmer and Shakir, this is the difference between half and full PPR, right? Like, these guys, man, like Palmer and Shakir, probably you're not going to feel great about them in half. But in full, like, you're absolutely through the buys going to be playing these guys in your flexes. They can catch 4 or 5 balls for 50 yards. And then, it's a matter of just if they score a touchdown to really hit a big score. But, when you catch 4 balls for 50 yards in PPR, that's almost, 10 points. You do it in half and you're like, I'm not really loving that in my flex spot. So to me, these are the top 2. Again, we're going to come back, definitely take one more running back. We have to take a kicker and a defense. We'll get started on that. Really solid team, y'all. Let's sort through these backs for a moment. Because we know we're going to be taking one. We got some time. Let's see. Rico, let's see if we can get Rico through. Nope, he just went. Rico is clearly at the top for me. Now we're just swinging for the fences a little bit. We could add a rookie, another rookie, Marshawn Lloyd. He's had a very Kendre Miller-esque to his rookie training camp. I still think he's got the talent to absolutely be worth a swing here. Same with Tyrone Tracy. Both these guys are super interesting in this spot. I think Jaylen McLauriin being full PPR is interesting as well. Ty Chandler's just a good handcuff, really good handcuff to Aaron Jones. I don't think Ty Chandler's anything special talent-wise, but obviously some injury concerns with Aaron Jones. Jones is a baller, man. Like, I hope Aaron Jones never falls off the age curve. But we do have to realize a very real chance that happens. To me, this is how I would rank this tier here. Ty Chandler, Ray Davis, Marshawn Lloyd. Jaylen McLauriin is probably just a little bit too small to really ever get like a great workload in fantasy. Like, that's my big concern with him. He's always just going to kind of be a scat back and a change of pace back, but he's in play here. I'll take Ty Chandler as like just the clear handcuff, no other competition behind him. And once again, man, I don't get pissed about much in life, but I get pissed when my kicker gets sniped from me right in front of me again. Right in front of me. This guy knew. We'll take Tyler Bass. Late buy, good offense. Don't love it. Yeah, especially given Bass's last kick. Sorry, Bills fans. I'm sorry. We'll take T-Bass. Guys, this is a really good stream. Really good team. We'll take one last pick here. Defense kicker. Whoops, definitely not the Raiders. Bills. Bills are playing the Cardinals week 1. They're big home favorites. Kyler will take a couple sacks. I wanted to take Bengals. Are Bengals still here, or am I just blind? Let's see. Yep, Bengals are still here. Bengals get Patriots week 1. Patriots have the worst offensive line of football. Could be starting a rookie making his first start. To me, Bengals are like, if you just don't take a defense at all, you're not like targeting a season-long one. This is the one to stream in week 1. All right, y'all. Let's go through this team. Again, it's the 12 spot, right? Like I feel like we did the best we could. Not a ton of huge ceiling receivers, right? Like that is what we talked about at the beginning of this pick, right? Like that tier really falls off, and you're probably going to have to play catch up a little bit. And that's what we did. We just hammered receivers in the mid rounds. We took 4 straight: Jaylen, Waddle, Rashee Rice, Amari Cooper, Terry McLaurin. Have to feel pretty good about all the floor there, right? Like, I think Rashee Rice, gets a lot of those designed low A-dot targets. Terry McLaurin, super consistent target earner. We've got 2 big spike week potential guys in Jaylen Waddle and Amari Cooper. Probably the one guy who has the most upside to finish as a top 10 receiver is Rashee Rice. Not even probably. That's definitely. That being said, his pathway is pretty tough. I mean, Travis Kelce is obviously going to be earning a lot of targets. Xavier Worthy is looking like a freak. Marquise Brown is a legitimate, established deep threat, even though he's injured right now. Amari Cooper, just underpriced, guys. Like wide receiver 24 in ADP. His first 2 seasons in Cleveland, he's the wide receiver 13 in PPR points per game. The only target competition they've added is Jerry Jeudy. Jeudy earned 87 targets last year on a Broncos team that was just really featuring Cortland Sutton. That's about it. We can quibble with Russell Wilson and whether or not he could see Jerry Jeudy on the field. Listen, Amari Cooper is going to be the clear wide receiver 1 on this team, even though he does have a little more target competition. Terry McLaurin certainly doesn't have more target competition this year, as we were talking through. And we just swang for the fences. Jonathan Brooks and Chase Brown. Chase Brown obviously just attached to the Bengals. Joe Burrow, what more needs to be said there? Jayden Daniels in the 9th round is just stealing. Again, I question the ceiling because the offensive line is questionable, because they're 26th in implied points per game. I don't think Washington is going to be just absolutely blitzing the scoreboard every single week with 30 points. But Daniels has an extremely high floor because he's a great runner, prolific runner coming out of college. All right, we rounded out the draft with Josh Palmer and Khalil Shakir. Just 2, like we said, floor receiver plays. Just give me 2 guys that, God forbid Amari Cooper rolls his ankle in practice on Tuesday before week 1. We need another receiver. I don't feel awesome about either of those in my final flex, but, they could get 5, 6, 7 targets week 1 and be fine. Ty Chandler, again, final back. That's kind of like pretty clearly the handcuff and kicker and defense. Guys, this has been great. If you like the team, please like this video. If you dislike this team, also like this video. We would really appreciate it. If you thought I could have picked players better, if you would have taken somebody else, if you would have gone with a different strategy even, you wouldn't have double tapped running back at the top. Maybe there's a couple of receivers that you're a little higher on. Please let me know down in the comments. And if you're not already, subscribe to the channel. We are pushing to 10K. It'd be sweet if you're the 10,000th subscriber at FantasyPoints. We'd really appreciate it. All right, guys, this was the 12 spot. We will see you at the top of the leaderboards.